Welcome back to Facebook Friends Meet. I am so thrilled for you to meet my friend Jim Manley.
Hi there.
Hi, how are you? Great to see you. So Jim and I met in, I know exactly when it was because of why it was. So it had to be March, right?
That's right, for early March, for the Academy Awards.
The Academy Awards in 2011. And
you were looking very, very nice. You were with Kelly and very formally dressed, and
thank you.
everyone looked good.
It was really a fun night, and I think it was put on by the fabulous Lisa Gold.
It was
right?
definitely put on by the fabulous Lisa Gold.
Oh, okay.
She is
Hi.
doing.
Let's give her a shout out.
Hey,
Hi,
Lisa.
Lisa.
It's a pleasure to be in your company and share your energy, which is so cool because we get to put that energy into a viable medium, a shareable medium. I'm a producer, and so I look for something that I can produce, even if it's someone else's work.
Please tell us.
Okay, I did a documentary on Ralph Waldo Emerson called America, the Ideal in America, and it sells continuously on Amazon and through films.com, educational version of it. Emerson is the most quoted author in United States history.
Wow. I believe it.
And he's the most quoted author today. And he's dead 130 years or so.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fascinating because there's only one documentary on Ralph Waldo Emerson, the most quoted author in history.
And that's the one that you created?
That's the one I created.
Nobody else has done it yet?
Nobody else has done it. And it sells very nicely. Projects that create small amounts of money on a regular basis. This is how we as actors can pretty much build up our income. So you have a little bit here and a little bit there, a little bit there. Just try to create things that have a continuous income. The project I'm working on right now is a film. It's a documentary of sort. It includes 26 people, each with a tattoo. And the tattoo, and I'm still in the process of looking for people with the right tattoo, but it's a tattoo that represents gratitude and service.
Okay. Now you mentioned something with Lisa Gold. Is that this
Oh
project?
yes. Now Lisa, she does many different types of workshops on many different subjects. 60,000 new actors come into New York City every year. In London, how many go into London? How many show up in Glasgow? How many show up in Paris? How many show up in Tokyo to break into the industry?
Yes.
Maybe it's 2 million people around the world are looking for the information she offers. So I proposed to her, we basically make a series of her work.
Tell us about the audiobooks.
Okay, I just got the rights from Gary Apple, who wrote this wonderful book called Hell is for Real. And it's really a bit of a takeoff on a very successful book called Heaven is for Real. And then it's been made into a feature film as well. I have acquired the rights to the audio book rights for this. I'm converting it into an audiobook. It's using a company called ACX, which is owned by Amazon. It's interesting to know that if you have a published book of any sort, convert it into an audiobook, they'll help you produce it. They'll do casting, all sorts of great services.
Wow.
And then upon completion, it goes on iTunes, Amazon, and audiobooks.
Wow.
Instantly distributed. So that's what's going on with that. Now I got the rights to a newly discovered book, The Rise of Mr. Ponzi, written by Charles Ponzi. I'm publishing the book. There's a website called createspace.com.
Yes, on Amazon, right?
On Amazon. Well, it's an Amazon company.
Oh, okay.
It's not on Amazon, but if you publish through them, your work will go on Amazon.
Okay.
Whether it's a video or a book or a CD. So just to tie the pieces of this puzzle together, as actors, we are self-producers. We have to be. That's the nature of the industry now. When you get residuals, they are not going to be residuals from a commercial you did. They might be. Or a movie you were in. They might be, but they probably won't be. They're going to be residuals from work you have produced. And if you have a skill as a narrator, get the rights to some books, public domain books, and then produce it. If you
Produce it as an audiobook, do you mean,
well,
or
in the
film?
case of a public domain book, it's an interesting point. You'd want to produce it as a book first. So say you have a retake on Ralph Waldo Emerson's essay on self-reliance. Okay, and you have a retake on it. You know, you're going to put a forward on it and something on the end that makes it yours. So
I see, and everything else you could just take exactly
exact
as
word
is.
for word.
Ah,
Exactly word for word.
We've got to talk. Okay, go
Yeah, you say you talk about your experience, whatever twist you're gonna put on it, you put it on the beginning, and you have something at the end, and otherwise it's word for word Ralph Waldo Emerson's Self-Reliance.
Okay.
Okay, and maybe you're going to be reading it.
Okay.
Oh, well,
Step two.
That's step two, right? Step one is you're gonna publish it first. So you publish the book, your own book, could be public domain, and then you produce your audiobook. And you produce an audiobook using this company I mentioned before, ACX.
Okay.
So Amazon really owns this concept of self-publishing, POD, publish on demand. And that includes video, audio, or paper. But you're going to publish your own book, and then you're going to create an audiobook out of that. It's a natural. If you have a book, you want to have an audiobook. It's ridiculous for you not to. If you know anyone that has a book, ask them for the rights. Tell them you'll make an arrangement with them, and then get yourself a narrator. Be a producer, and you will get a little bit of an income. The author will do well. The producer, who's actually the narrator, it's called a producer in audiobooks, and you will do a little well for a long time.
Now, is this someone who already has a book that's published and complete, or someone who just has a manuscript and then you publish their manuscript? And
Well, it could be either one of both. If you know someone that has a manuscript that's not published, you can publish it for them. I've done that a number of times. It's
that's great.
eminently
This
doable.
is a great idea.
If you know someone that has a book and they haven't conceived of the idea of an audiobook, you do it. You say, look, let's do this together. And you'll work with them, and they just go along for the ride. They give you the rights. You're the rights holder. They're the author. Then you get a producer. Producer and the narrator are often the same person. And it's not you.
Yeah.
Unless you're a narrator.
Someone who's a voiceover, who has the voiceover equipment.
And maybe has a history, maybe has a legacy. And that's important because then they can, like if you could get Jim Dale, who did the Harry Potter series. Jim Dale is a great Broadway actor.
And what do you offer them? You don't have the money.
You offer them the producership. The narrator is the producer.
I see. So
they supply the studio.
Okay.
They supply everything.
Yeah.
You just bring them the manuscript.
And in exchange, they have an audiobook, and
They get half of.
and they get 50% of the
50%.
profits.
That's right.
Beautiful. I love
You
it.
get 40% in this situation. Amazon and ACX gets 60% for their purposes.
And then
You get 40%, and that's split in half with the
Got
with
it.
the producer.
That's amazing.
And the producer owns the studio, owns the is the
It's all set
accomplished
up.
person.
Right, because voiceovers already have their equipment.
They do.
All right, Jim, thank you so much for coming down. This was great. Thank you. See you next week.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. A pleasure.